Good Saturday evening, Southwest Arkansas. Welcome back, Southwest Arkansas. Weather here on Saturday, November the 29th, 2025. As you can see above, tonight's evening weather blog isn't necessarily going to be the whole 6 day forecast. We're going to focus mainly on Monday, talking about what's in store for your Monday and the chance of winter weather. I will say, expect changes to this to be made. There is a lot we're going to go over in this, so stick with it to understand a little more about who's seeing what, why we could see so many changes, and all of that. So, first off, here's our winter weather outlook. Um, Currently, we think the majority of the area gets a cold rain. That's here's going to be the biggest thing about this isn't going to be a big. This isn't a big winter weather ordeal or event. This is not going to be a major ice storm or a major winter weather storm. Some freezing rain looks like a possibility. Maybe some sleet mixed in with it. Um, but here's the deal: we got a big warm nose over us above the surface. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. Temperatures at the surface. Here's going to be the biggest thing. Data is showing temperatures right now sitting around for some locations 34, 30, 33, just a few degrees above freezing. That'll lead to cold rain. While in other areas it's showing 32, 31, 30. I mean, it's just right there close to freezing. So this is going to really depend on, super dependent on what temperatures do Monday. For most of us right now, we think cold rain will be possible. Could that freezing rain line move a little further south? Yes, it could. We are going to watch that closely. Right now, we have it for our far northern row of areas, and I don't think we see major impacts out of this. This isn't going to be a major impact event. The ground temperature has just been too warm here recently. Um, you're going to have temperatures drop a decent amount to really make a big difference in that. Maybe some slick spots in those areas of freezing rain where you stay below freezing on some bridges, and maybe just a light little delays for the most part, though. Any really up to a tenth of an inch of accumulation looks to remain a little on the northern side in the Ouachita Mountains region and maybe a little further north. Now, let's talk a little bit about this. This is the National Weather Service in Little Rock's accumulation maps. This is for the snowfall. Like I said, I don't think we're going to see much snow out of this. It's just not set up for snow. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. As you can see, maybe a trace there across some far northern portions of our Ouachita County areas, or no, not Ouachita counties, but Ouachita Mountains region. More so, the big story is going to be this ice potential and ice accumulation. For the most part, we're going to see anywhere from a trace to a tenth of an inch of ice. And I think for the most part, that tenth of an inch is going to be in the higher accumulations up near the Ouachita Mountains region, stuff of that nature, in those higher elevations. For the most part, though, I don't think we see a widespread, big ice accumulations. Like I said, this just doesn't set up like a big winter weather event by any means. We're still going to have a chance at some winter weather, but it's just not setting up like something major at this time. So let's talk about the potential impacts here. And with this, we're going to take a look at this is the Winter Storm Severity Index graphic here. And what this is, as I move it over here to my screen, this is pretty much a like potential winter storms impacts. That's probably a better name for it than the Winter Storm Severity Index. But as you can see, most of our areas here on really on Monday pretty much show you a story of minor impacts. Expect a few inconveniences to daily life. Winter driving conditions. Use caution while driving. That's pretty much what it means. That's that yellow colored area. And as you can see, it does go a little further south than our map currently has, with potential for freezing rain, mainly due to some of the data being a little further south, which, like I said, temperature is going to be very dependent on what temperatures look like and stuff of that nature. You do see some oranges here, some moderate areas up in those higher elevations, up in the mountainous terrain areas, stuff of that nature. So we'll have to watch that closely, but for the most part, I don't think we're going to see anything too major out of this. Some minor impacts. Just be cautious on driving, stuff of that nature. So now let's jump into the data behind this. First off, let's talk about the background and why we're going to see what we're going to see. Why are we not seeing snow, straight up cold rain? Why are we seeing what we're seeing? First off, you're going to look at the 850 millibar level temperatures, and this is height. So this is, you have your surface, your 925 millibar, which is just a little above the surface, then your 850. So this is about mid level of the atmosphere. And as you can see here, these darker blues show you your freezing line. And watch what happens here as we go into this weekend. We got some colder air coming in, but really, look, this is Monday morning. I mean, you're seeing temperatures 7 to 8 degrees above Celsius, 7 to 8 degrees Celsius, and your freezing marks all the way up here in Missouri. So what that means is you have this area of colder air, and pretty much if you want snow, you want the whole atmosphere from top to bottom to be below freezing. That's just a simplified version of that. You can get into extra details about it. But you want that for snow. You want it to be 0 degrees well, below freezing, I should say, 32 degrees or lower, all the way up the atmosphere and down. Usually with sleet, you kind of have those little areas where you have some warmer temperatures. That way, as it falls, it melts, and then it refreezes closer to as it gets closer to the surface. And as that happens, that makes those little ice pellets. This kind of is close to that, but at the same time, this is going to be more of a deeper warm nose. So what you have with freezing rain is temperature, it falls, it melts, and it stays above freezing right until the surface. It looks like rain until it hits the surface and freezes over. That is freezing rain. You're not going to be able to tell a great difference in cold rain and freezing rain just depending on the temperature. If it's 32 or below, that's freezing rain at the surface. If it's 32 or if it's 33 and above, that's cold rain. Simple as that. But as you can see here going through Monday, that warm nose doesn't really make its way in, or that warm nose stays in Arkansas, and you do slowly start to see that colder air move in, but by that time, it's too late. Temperature or the moisture is going to be done and over with. While at the surface, around the same time, let's actually first, before we talk about that, let's talk about this weekend. It's going to get cold tonight. Tomorrow morning, you can see temperatures in the 40s, 20s. Tomorrow morning, some cold wind chills, potentially into Monday as well. But look at this. Monday morning, temperatures around the surface, look at this. 37 degrees down here. We'll see if that stands. But further up here across northern portions of our coverage area, right around that 32, 33, 34 degree mark. So where does that actually match up at? You can see this shows that it shifts a little further south, closer throughout the day. Kind of stays there hovers around this area. Where does that occur at? And then some colder air moves in for that night. But real quickly, let's take a look at this on some future cast on the North American model. Your time's up here at the top, so that says 7 p.m. This is the 00Z run of the North American model. Overnight tonight, this is for tonight. This is 11 p.m. tonight. You can see rain moving on out. Maybe some flurries up across northwest Arkansas, but that rain moves out. Dry conditions expected tomorrow. Like I said, colder conditions with some wind chill values probably in the teens, 20s as we go into Sunday night, into Monday morning. But temperatures going to be the biggest thing. Watch what happens. 1 a.m., not a whole lot. Rain starts to make its way north. Right about that 4 to 5 to 9 a.m., between 9 a.m. to 7 a.m. time frame, you start to see that these pinks here show up as maybe a wintry mix, some freezing rain. That green is that cold rain. As we go throughout that day, you can kind of see that this tries to bring some more widespread freezing rain, potentially wintry mix there in that pink, which you got to remember data is never perfect. So temperatures, I wish I could overlay temperatures to really give you a good general picture of this, but I can't. But temperatures. That's going to be the biggest thing is what are temperatures like? Are they above freezing, below freezing, at freezing? Where are they at? That's going to determine if you see a cold rain, and that's going to determine if you see freezing rain. Like I said, that freezing line is going to be a big factor in that. Where does that set up at? Who sees that data? Because here's the thing. Sometimes in these type of events, data gets the temperatures off by 1 to 2 degrees too warm. If that's the case, that pushes that freezing line further south. Then you're dealing with a little bit more of a freezing rain system. If it's if it's too cold and it's a few degrees warmer, that freezing rain line moves north. So there's a lot of details that can be ironed out, and we'll go over those. Or well, tomorrow we should start to get a little bit better of an understanding overall on this. And here's that back end, potentially snow on the back end of this up near northwest Arkansas. Still by 6 p.m., you're seeing maybe some cold rain, some freezing rain potentially on this. Then it slowly starts to move out with maybe some light flurries overnight there as this system moves out and that dry air comes in. And then through the rest of the week, we're going to dry out throughout the rest of the week until this upcoming weekend. After this cold air comes in on this weekend, we see highs back up into the 40s through the rest of through the rest of the week, with lows in the mid to upper 30s, with some rain chances possibly towards the end of next week. We'll watch that closely though. They're very low rain chances right now. GFS model shows you the similar story: rain moving out tonight into your day on Monday, showing that winter weather mix possibly there, that mix and kind of where that freezing line could possibly move into, and then moving out by that nighttime and clearing out on your day on Tuesday. And then some more rain chances start to make their way back in the forecast potentially towards the end of that work week, as you can see there, and they move out. This is wanting to show some winter weather, but I want to heed caution on that, with that being still a long way out. We got a lot of detail. Let's take this event at a time. Let's take a look at the 0Z H-R model, see what this is showing for precipitation chances as that rainfall continues to move out. This isn't going to go too far into the future, but those rain chances continue tonight, moving out by tomorrow morning into your day on Sunday. Not a whole lot expected there. Rain chances begin to move a little further north, and here's some of that winter, that mix starting Monday morning across the area. Just depends really on where we see temperatures at, and as we go throughout the day, do we warm up any at all and get above freezing? Like I said, there's a lot of details. This is a tough forecast. Winter weather is always tough because there's so many different things that can change that, and so many microclimates inside your specific region, like southwest Arkansas, that could change that. We have mountainous terrain, some higher elevations. Temperatures could be different in a few locations, and also where are you getting your temperatures from? If you're in Prescott, you get your temperatures out of Texarkana. Same thing for you in Hope. Nashville's D Queen. Murfreesboro's Mount Ida. That's just the way it works with where our temperature gauges and all that stuff's at with the National Weather Service and all that. So that's another thing. Is that an accurate temperature for that area? And that's the thing. That's another thing. Temperatures can be micro scale, so it could be below freezing at your house, but you go 5 miles down the road, it's not. So very, very tough forecast on who sees what. Overall, I think cold rain with some freezing rain across our northern counties, and not expected any major impacts. Minor impacts look like a good possibility, with just heed caution on Monday if you got to get out and drive. Like we said, just some small, very like traces amounts of accumulation, maybe some higher elevations in the Ouachita Mountains region. Sees near a quarter of an inch or so, or not a quarter of an inch, tenth of an inch at most. But for the most part, though, we don't have a big chance for anything major out of this at this time. Like I said, this could still change. This could still be adjusted. You're going to see a lot of different maps, all of that stuff. It's just the way it's going to be with winter weather. And with this event itself, it's going to be really tough depending on who sees what. Like I said, temperature is going to play a big factor in that. Timing of the moisture. Will it time up right? Will data come in too warm, too cold? There's just a lot of details that, hey, you got to learn as you get closer to that event. That's just the way it works. But we're starting to get a general idea. Like we said, though, very small margin of error for temperatures. If they're a few degrees off and it's colder than what it comes in at, then you're dealing with more areas in that freezing rain chance. But enough of that. I'm repeating myself a lot there. So that's where we're going to end it tonight for tonight's evening weather blog. Just briefly went over the evening weather blog and also what's going on Monday. Brief overview of next week with highs after Monday in the 40s, overnight lows in the 30s. Small chances of rain as we head towards the end of next week. Don't think it's anything major. Like I said, though, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep you updated with the newest on that as well. As always, plan is to have live stream tomorrow evening to go over this as well. And then, as always, we'll have coverage, or we'll have post over on the Facebook page throughout the event on Monday. As always, big thanks to all of our sponsors: Patterson's Credit Union, Southern Dumpster Rental, Landmark Insurance Agency, Palmer's Roofing, Janus Auto Supply, Bumper to Bumper. Make sure to check them out. Make sure to check us out on all of our social medias that we're on. You can find those in the description below. Have a great rest of your Saturday. See you back here tomorrow evening for another look at what's in store for your evening weather blog. And we'll take one last look at the winter weather chances as we go into Monday.